And we're live. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever the case may be in this bright, wonderful world we call home. It is the Aloha Hour. We're probably going to keep this one down to an actual hour. The Comics Gate chat ran a little long tonight, but that was good times, fun times had by all. As always, I am your humble servant, Mike S. Miller, and with me once again, our co-host, the great and powerful Edwin Boyette.
Aloha. It's wonderful to be with you again.
Yes, absolutely. Elijah, don't start.
Oh, you bring much honor to your family, young Elijah-san.
Edwin is encouraging my children to act foolishly.
Oh, it is the best.
Let me see if I can get my chat to pop up with my potato computer.
Nice.
I have an old chat up. I have to read some old chats. I wonder how many people are... Oh, no problem.
I see 68 people are watching now.
68 here already. Patiently waiting, 71. Thank you all for showing up. I had to run to the store and grab some diapers for my youngest. So I had to allow my children to entertain Edwin for a while.
It was a good time. Let's see, he says, Edwin is a bad influence. Absolutely. I am the worst.
The worst, man. The worst. So I watched this video today. I think I mentioned it on the other stream with Paul PJW, Paul Joseph Watson, and Stefan Molyneux.
Oh.
And they were talking about art and like how the left is like trying to destroy everything like good and noble and, you know, based on talent and yeah, I know we didn't plan this, guys. I just remembered because I'm trying to get on my chat. This is how long it's taking me to get on my freaking chat so I can see what people are saying. And one of the videos popped up in my thing.
Well, some of the left are no, let me state this as a positive. I've noticed that people, and not all the people, but a lot of the people that are more conservative or orient towards the right are probably more fans of romantic idealism, right? Or romantic realism. So these Olympian figures, for lack of a better word, Michelangelo's David, right? These figures that have some, like a heroic realism, right? That reflects this beauty and these aspirational images, right? And sometimes people on the left, I don't want to call it lower, but it's a lot of times you see like a more devolved style.
Yes. P-Money, Canadian 279, wanted to be first super chat. Lone Star forever. But yes, to your point, yeah, he was even making the point that, you know, some of these lefties are trying to, they'll even take Shakespeare, right? And they'll try to create dumbed down versions of just timeless classics. And I think it really does boil down to like what Jordan B. Peterson says about them not wanting to respect the hierarchy of competence. So it's hierarchy with the lobsters and the competence, but it's a reality in and basically because it's Marxist, they're Marxists, right? Because in a capitalist free market society, competence elevates you to positions of responsibility, stature, wealth, all the things you want out of life, the more competent you are, the better you're going to be at anything. And so they want to like tear down this basic structure of humanity, that competent people are better at things, and reduce everything to a base minimum of capability. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. In societies where a socialist or a Marxist minded mentality takes place, any tall poppies get their heads lopped off, right?
Yes.
And then people with competence as far as negotiating the arbitrary structure that gets erected, people that have competence in that tend to wind up as the bureaucrats and the leaders and the political officers, right?
Yeah, because
but the actual competence of production isn't rewarded, right?
Right. Because they're not actually about equality for everyone. It's equality of misery for everyone but those in charge. But they don't want it to be. Yeah, it's.
Well, I've noticed with like some of these people who are Marxist, and I've talked to a couple of them now on Twitter, and they don't necessarily call themselves Marxist. They may call themselves socialist or democratic socialist and stuff. But these are the people that are like, oh, Ethan Van Sciver's getting all the money and you're getting scraps, talking in reference to like the Comicsgate comics.
That fan today. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it's this with this one particular argument is almost predictable now, because I almost feel like they've got like a Twitter group or a Facebook group where they're strategizing over this stuff, and it's like they're acting off some kind of script, because it's like the same exact, it takes the exact same form, and I've seen it now about a dozen times. Now, I don't begrudge this, because if somebody's going to run this particular troll, I'm going to jujitsu it into a chance to market and sell comic books, right? If you troll me, if you give me attention, I'm going to try and redirect your attention into promoting people, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it personally. I'm not going to get mad, but the problem with this particular argument, right? That these indie guys are being left out. The earlier indie guys or the newer indie guys, like people who are only on their first or second comic book. Everybody who has participated in Comicsgate is more successful than Ethan Van Sciver was with his first comic, is more successful with the first 3 comic books that Richard C. Meyer launched, is more successful than the first comic book that John De La Rose launched, right? And so they're already more successful than the people who supposedly owe them audience and owe them promotion and owe them all these different things.
You know what reminds me of?
What's that?
The Little Red Hen.
The Little Red Hen. What is the Little Red Hen?
Remember the Little Red Hen? So the Little Red Hen, I don't want to tell the whole thing, but the Little Red Hen wanted to make a pie and went around and asked everybody for help, and nobody wanted to help her. And then she had to end up making the pie by herself. And then after she made it, they all came and wanted some pie.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, Zach and Ethan are the Little Red Hen, right? And then all these people want their pie. It's always pie.
It all comes down to pie, huh?
It all comes back to pie.
Finally got a piece of the pie. Beans don't burn in the kitchen.
Beans don't burn on the grill.
Yep.
I'm trying just to get up that hill.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a thing. It's you know, Ethan doesn't know anybody anything. Nobody owes anybody anything in this space, right?
No.
yeah, I mean, Ethan was part of the Comicsgate culture, but honestly, he found his own audience that was not a part of Comicsgate. He found the Star Wars audience, and that's where Ethan blew up. That's Ethan's audience. That nobody owns Ethan's audience, right?
Yes. Yeah.
They are there voluntarily to come to watch and listen to Ethan every day. And it was him doing the hard work of day after day after day after day after day after day after day for months after months, building that audience. Ain't a damn person in Comicsgate or outside of Comicsgate owed a damn thing from Ethan's success.
Right. Well, actually, the only people who are owed anything, the only people who are owed anything are Ethan's audience themselves, right? If he wants to retain them. If he wants to retain them, then he owes them a compelling and entertaining performance. And if he doesn't deliver a compelling and entertaining performance, then at some point they're going to go somewhere else. But to say that Ethan or you or anybody else owes somebody promotion, there's a false assumption there, and the false assumption is that you control your audience. You don't. Nope. Your audience voluntarily engages with you because you bring them something of value, right?
Yeah, and if Ethan has spent so much time promoting me and Doug, and I mean just everybody, Antonio, just night after night after night, Ethan is putting his audience at risk, right, for the benefit of people he doesn't have to help.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to sit here and blow smoke up Ethan's
butt. I'll talk out of school a little bit because I talk with Ethan in private, and
okay, but I'm just saying that as audience member, his audience came there for a particular reason, and then he starts promoting all of us and everybody in the space.
Yeah,
there's audience members that are going to be like, well, this isn't what I came to Ethan for.
Yeah,
and they're going to leave. Right?
There's only so many telethons that people can sit through, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gone over and above, and I think the troll on Facebook or on Twitter was just, you need to friggin' kick him in the nuts.
Oh well, again, it's you understand what it is, but when I argue with trolls, I don't argue because I think I'm going to change the troll's mind, right?
Yeah.
But if I can, I want to pick apart their arguments and I want to perform for the audience to give the audience some entertainment, whoever's watching, right?
No, I agree with that.
So okay, all right, here, guys. I'm gonna talk out of school a lot because everybody always hears me talk good about Ethan. Ethan actually worries about this stuff. He's like, am I helping people enough? Am I doing enough for people? But then he also realizes that he has to balance it. And then he worries too to make sure that he's promoting something good, that he's getting behind something or promoting something that's going to bring the audience value. And here's the deal. I have a teeny audience. I have 1,200 followers on YouTube. I have about 2,000 followers on Twitter. I can't keep up with everything that people ask me to do. And I have not even 5% of Ethan's audience, and I can't keep up.
Yeah.
And so I don't imagine he can either. And it doesn't mean he doesn't value people, but like sometimes people get upset that he doesn't know somebody's name or doesn't know somebody's book.
Yeah, be realistic.
There's just not enough time in the day to keep it all straight. Yeah. But what I do sometimes though, because Ethan's nice enough to have me on a show, a couple of people know who I am. And so I can borrow some of that audience and say, hey, I'm going to talk about Nasser, or I'm going to talk about Tim Lim, or I'm going to talk about this book. And then maybe people will come watch me talk to these people and interview them. And so I get to borrow a little bit of Ethan's fame, and I appreciate it. Because I can do good things with it. People see me on his show and then they'll come listen to me talk about somebody's book. And I can help some of these same people who people keep saying are getting left out. And I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, but you know, Ethan gave you that exposure. Ethan gave me that exposure. Gives everybody that comes on that exposure.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, it is up to you to maintain that audience.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the easiest thing on the on earth. Why is it so loud?
Testosterone overload actually has a valid comment here. He said the vets are the first wave of comic skate. The second wave is coming this autumn. Yet this we're nowhere as big as we're going to be. Like Comicsgate is going to be huge. Comicsgate is going to be huge and is going to continue to grow.
Yep.
And so we have to keep getting better. We have to keep getting more compelling, right?
Yep.
But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun and it's going to be great. And there's going to be so much cool stuff, right? Hopefully what happens is we get to the point where for each of us, we're actually going to have to be like, oh, I don't know if I can buy everything this month, you know, and so there should be enough stuff coming out where Comicsgate titles are not an alternative, they're the first choice. And then if you're feeling, you know, nostalgic, you know, you might go subject yourself to like an issue of an Ironheart, and then and then that'll remind you of why you stopped buying corporate comics and you'll come back to Comicsgate.
Well, it's going to come to a point where, you know, yeah, like you're saying, not everybody can support everything that's coming out. And you know what? I don't want to put people in a position where they think they have to. I mean, you don't have to support anything that you don't like. If you don't like Lone Star, go get something you like, right? It should be that we're creating an entire marketplace.
Yeah.
And you know, even if we're all producing fantastic stuff, you know what? I'm not going to buy Stardust. And it's not because of the quality. I'm sure the quality's great, right? I'm just not interested in that type of stuff. That's not my thing. And like I said, if somebody doesn't want, but we should have a marketplace so that there is something for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to name a couple of the ones that, you know, I wouldn't buy for other reasons. But hey, you know, they're there. So.
Yeah, there should be enough differentiation, right? And there will be. So people that want particular things will be able to get those things. And not everybody is going to like everything that comes out. That's
right.
Okay. That's okay. Well, hopefully that there will be a surplus of material, right? There will be a surplus of material so that like every genre within comic books will have like multiple representations and like high level multiple representations. Let's see, what do we have here? Now, this is a valid point for March Hare, and this is a piece we still need to solve because I think it's going to be Comicsgate who saves them eventually. March Hare says, Edwin Boyette, I worry about my local comic book store too. It's run by good people. I've got a feeling it's going to get worse for local comic book stores in the interim, and then it may get better. The problem is they're kind of squozing in between a rock and a hard place. I am friends with several comic book store owners now, and he was showing me the ordering paneling, the order panel, and it's like, all right, if you want to get the variant cover, you have to buy 50% more of this particular title than you bought the month before. And my friend was like, I couldn't even sell half of what I ordered before. So to get this one variant cover that I could mark up a little bit, I'm going to have to order all this mess that I can't possibly sell.
Yeah. So,
and
that's what Billy was talking about when the retailers were blowing up at Marvel at New York last year.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely right. It's crazy. Yeah. Samurai said my store closed already. There's a store here in San Diego that this gal Marilyn works at that she's been there for forever. I think like over 20 years, and they just closed. And that's in like. Here's a funny thing. This is in Hillcrest. Hillcrest is like Little San Francisco in San Diego. It's like the gay liberal area. You couldn't even keep a comic book store open in that area with the way comics are today, right? I mean, if that's your target market and that's what you're aiming for, and you can't even manage to keep a store open there, you really need to consider readjusting your game plan. Otherwise, you're just going to take the entire comic book industry down with you.
Yeah. Well, all right. For about 40% of the comic books that get shipped every month come from Marvel, right?
Yeah, they're the bread and butter of the industry.
All right. And then if you add Marvel and DC together, you get about 72 to 77% of all comic books that are shipped every month. So, I mean, the lion's share of the market. The problem is I've got zero motivation to purchase a Marvel comic book in 2018 unless I just want to have it to review.
Right.
They make a few gems. They get some good stories here and there. But for the most part, from top to bottom, did I tell you what I did yesterday? I started making a spreadsheet, and I took the I went on Comicron and I looked at here. I'll share my crazy spreadsheet. Screen sharing. Am I presenting to everyone?
You're locked.
All right, can you see what I'm looking at?
Ghost Rider.
All right, so what I did is I started going through here, and I pulled down the list from Comicron, right? And so I think this is either the June or July list, and this is all the different the different comic books, how much they sold, and then I started going to get the various writers, the editors, and the associate editors, right? So Marvel's #1 title was Amazing Spider-Man, and writers Nick Spencer, leftist. Editors Nick Lowe, leftist. Associate editor, I didn't have a chance to research. Next title, Captain America #1. Writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, far leftist. Editor Tom Brevoort, leftist. Associate editor Alana Smith, far leftist. Going on down the line, I didn't do it for Amazing Spider-Man, the next one, because it's the exact same crew. I think that was a bi-monthly title. And then so I came down to X-23, which is a new title. Okay, writer Mariko Tamaki, far leftist, weirdo. Christina Harrington, also known as Colacanthus on Twitter, far leftist. Annalise Bissa, didn't have a lot of time to read up on her. Donnie Cates, not sure. Jordan D. White, leftist. Life of Captain Marvel, Margaret Stoll, leftist. Sarah Brunstad, leftist. Sana Amanat, leftist. Mr. and Mrs. X, Kelly Thompson, leftist. Not sure about Darren Shan. Infinity Wars Prime, Gary Dugan, didn't have a chance to research much on him. Jordan D. White, leftist. Avengers, Jason Aaron, leftist. Tom Brevoort, leftist. Alana Smith, leftist.
I'm sensing a pattern.
It goes on and on and on and on and on, and it's all leftist. Like people, and not just like, I have no problem. Let me take it off of screen share. Am I off of screen share? Okay.
Yeah.
I have no problem with leftists, right? Liberals, Democrats earning a living, but they're all actively hostile, right? They're all actively hostile to conservative voices. And so can I get my sermon?
Yeah.
All right.
Sermonize, baby.
All right, so here's my sermon, everybody. I kind of gave a variant of it earlier today when I was driving. Over half of the children that are born today, delivered in a hospital right now, right? are going to grow up and be raised in a single parent household. Statistically, this is absolutely the truth. So over half the children. Okay, so this means that it is very likely that over half the children are never regularly going to attend a church. They're not going to be part of a they're not going to be part of a civic organization like Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, and so on. Boy Scouts aren't even Boy Scouts now. They allow girls in, so they're soy scouts. Okay. So children of single parent households are more likely to be arrested, more likely to have depression, anxiety, psychological disorders. They're going to have lower economic attainment. They're going to have lower educational attainment. They're going to have a lower quality of life. I'm talking about on average here, okay? Okay, I understand there's exceptions to this. I understand there's some single parents who do a fantastic bang-up job. But on average, life is going to be harder for children of single parent households. It's just reality, okay? So you've got this single parent that's probably going to be doing the best they can with what they have. But for the most part, children of single parent households are going to get their moral and ethical education from public schools, from each other, and from popular entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What has been, by and large, the biggest popular entertainment, right? Movies, films of the last 10 years, the last decade, and the lion's share of the dollars.
Marvel movies.
Yeah, superhero movies. Okay, so this is a huge part of entertainment. The people who are writing the movies now, barring some change, or writing the comic books now and producing the comic books now, these are the things that are going to be dominating stories and movies 10 to 20 years from now, right? This is the stuff that's going to become animated.
Well, I'm going to pause you there because they may try.
Right.
But it's so bad that they will fail, and all they'll do is kill the genre.
It's possible. It's possible. But
all the stuff they're using now is from the freaking 80s.
It is to a degree.
90s. It's all from the 80s.
To a degree, but barring some change, right? Popular entertainment, popular culture is dominated by leftist.
Oh yeah.
Right? Through and through. So half of the people that are going to constitute the adults of the future are going to get their moral and ethical education, are going to get their worldviews the way they view it's appropriate to interact with their fellow man. They're going to get it from leftist media because the right and moderates have ceded this space, right?
Leftist media and leftist education,
yeah. So your stories of heroism, and so forth, like the stuff, and I'm sure some of the comic books you read when you were a kid, these stories of heroism, or other stories of heroism, imprinted on you to some degree, and it could have been from other mediums and other things, but it imprinted what you thought of as heroic and so forth. Okay. All of Marvel Comics from top to bottom is dominated by leftists, right? Who do not want anybody who's moderate or conservative. I mean, if you're not progressive to hard left, they don't want you.
Nope.
I was looking at Matthew Rosenberg, the fellow who's writing some of the Spider-Man and some of the other stuff. On Inauguration Day, he was like congratulating Antifa. And give them heck. This is Matthew Rosenberg. The Dr. Eve Ewing, who is taking over, or who's going to be this writer for this new Ironheart title. Are you familiar with Ironheart?
Me?
Yeah. You can go look through her social media, and it is nothing but how much that Trump is just signaling to all the white supremacists how horrible America is. Same thing with Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? Writing Captain America. A person who looked at 9/11 responders as oppressors and enemies. This is the person writing Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Marvel is dead. Marvel is dead. I've got no reason to purchase a Marvel comic book unless I want to criticize it or unless I just want to have like a cringe fest. As far as for
I think that Art's point tonight about Marvel, that Disney wanting to shut Marvel down and just license the books out, could be the best thing to happen to Marvel. Because, I mean, depends on where they land. But if they landed, say they didn't make this decision until after we got Comicsgate or Blacklist or something like up and running and like able to drop that licensing money down, give me Fantastic Four. You know, I'll do it. Right? Because if you got them into the right hands, it could be Marvel again.
Let's see. Sashi says, if America, a first world country, is so terrible, then why don't they leave? But because this is where all the resources are, Sashi. They want to change it so that they can extract all the capital and all the infrastructure that's left, and then when the United States is Venezuela writ large, then that's when the fun begins. We still have some capital to extract, and so sometimes that's what some of our elections are about, and why some of these people want power, because there's something left to extract. And so, yeah, you have to push back at this Marxist nonsense. But so all these kids, unless Marvel, I want to accelerate the failure of Marvel. Like I want normies to know, I want Republicans to know, I want moderates to know that these people are in active opposition to their values, to what they want to see manifested in the world, because I want to accelerate the failure of Marvel, because I want to reduce the amount of poisoning of minds that happens, right? There has to be better examples. There has to be, stories of real heroism, so that people aren't imprinted with this garbage, so that people understand that there is something better.
Working on one.
Go ahead.
I said working on one.
Yeah, people need to understand that there are these objective values, like these are, oh yeah, right through the hand.
Yeah. How do you like that close quarter fighting? None of this it's not going to be Marvel style fighting where you're making these big swinging arms. It's like, real hand to hand close quarter stuff.
Mano a mano.
Yeah.
And so, but let me not go too far with this. And first, $2 from TR French. Come on, stop messing with me, chat. If Mike ran Fantastic Four, I'd buy every issue. As would I. Here's what I don't want to do, though. I'm not trying to turn comics into like some sort of Republican propaganda or anything. Far from it.
No.
I just want good organic stories of heroism, of substance, of consequence, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to make it like a politically subversive thing. I just don't want all of comics to be controlled by people who have contempt for me and my values, and probably contempt for you and your values. In Comicsgate, there's absolutely room for liberals, classical liberals, even people trending towards the left. I can't wrap my head around it, but if you have respect for your fellow man, if you believe there's objective values, and you don't believe that comics should hold out one hand to take money from you and then hold out the other hand to slap you in the face, right? You can't do both. You can't do both. You can't display naked contempt and hold out a hand for money at the same time.
But damn it if they're not going to try.
So there can be better. There can be better. But I want to get this message out, and hopefully you guys are talking to your friends, right, and the people around you, because like the people who are on Facebook with us, you know, that are talking about these things, the people who are on, the people who are on Twitter with us are highly engaged for better or worse, right? Because they want to be part of the conversation. But there's all these people down at your local comic book store that you share comic books with that probably are not aware of the bigger picture, right? Like if they knew what some of these people were actually saying about them and their values on Twitter, on social media, what they were writing, do you think people would still buy these comic books?
It depends on the person. I think what a lot of people miss is that people say they're left, people say they're quote unquote liberal,
Right.
but I think most people don't even know what it means. I think most people think that's because of the media, you know, that's the cool thing to be or whatever. And yeah, sure, they may have some more libertarian values, you know, more live and let live, which I think, you know, I'm that way. I'm libertarian in my beliefs to a large extent. But they think because of the way the media has portrayed liberal as sane, they don't evaluate what they do actually believe. And a lot of these people, I think Mark Dice had a video on this, where, you know, if you put somebody or even most people through this kind of a test, they're not anywhere near leftist, right? Maybe centrist, maybe even, you know, leaning conservative libertarian or whatever, but they all think they're liberal because of the way it's been presented as the you know, the sane way to believe through most of the media, entertainment, and education. You know, but they're not necessarily indoctrinated into all the stupid crap that leftists actually believe.
Right. Well, I think a lot of the right now is probably actually classical liberals. And when I say the word classical liberals, I mean it
classical liberal.
I mean it in the political science definition, which a lot of the labels that people use now don't actually correspond with the actual academic labels. But yeah, I think most of us who consider ourselves to be right are probably actually classical liberals.
Yep. Yeah, that's why, like, you know, V and Sargon, they call themselves liberalists.
Liberalist.
Because they're trying to take back, what being a liberal is, by embracing the term, but just sort of restating it a little bit to stake a claim. You know, draw a little line in the sand.
What does Steve Dye says? I identify as an objectivist, probably a little hedonist at times. Don't be a hedonist. And trying to stay centered in my own life and mind. Objectivist made me think of one of the fellows I was arguing with today. Literally, like, said something that was straight out of an Ayn Rand book from Ellsworth Tool.
Yeah, I saw you.
It made me laugh. I never thought I would hear, when I was a child, I didn't think I would grow up and hear people like saying stuff to me that the villains of the book said.
Well, you know, Ayn Rand wrote that stuff because she'd already been through it.
Yeah.
She'd already seen people turn into those kinds of idiots. And so she wrote it to warn us. And here we are.
Yeah. everybody should read Ayn Rand. Everybody should read Ayn Rand, right? When you're 16 or 18, and you should spurge out about it for a couple of years and act like an idiot. And then you should put it down for like 2 decades and then come back to it as an adult with maturity and then sift through it and figure out the useful parts and the not so useful parts.
Yeah, there's a 60-page section towards the back of Atlas Shrugged that you can just tear out of the book because it's completely pointless. I mean, it made me want to sit down, wish she was alive, and sit down with her because I could have freaking argued her mystic crap, you know. That's the thing, you know. Somebody could have good ideas, great ideas, but they're still not going to be right about everything.
Yeah. And you know, everybody is a product of their own environment. And so they come to the table with some different things. Somebody asked me where I get my self-control from. My wife would probably laugh to hear you ask that. I actually think I have a bad temper and I have to work very hard at dialing it down. And so maybe I'm just actively conscious about my temper and how I'm relating to people and treating people and speaking to people, and just continually reminding myself to be kind and patient to people every second.
So the answer to the question is discipline.
Discipline and the grace of Christ.
Scott Austin. You want to read it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what kind of money. What is an SEK?
SEK.
I'm thinking it's equivalent to about $5, looking at the color and how it states. Scott Austin, licensing is the future. And the only way to save these characters is that some of those licenses end up with Comicsgate.
This is sweet. It's the future of Marvel.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
And it's so strange now because I pick up a Marvel comic book.
And I believe the word is tunk. Is it tunk? Look up Swedish for thank you. I think it's tunk.
Somebody says a Swedish krona.
Is it tunk?
I don't know. What are you?
I thought I knew how to say thank you in Swedish.
Oh.
Tunk. Yeah, tunk. I did that to somebody one time. They bought something and I knew they were Swedish, so I looked it up real quick on my phone before they turned around, and I'm all tunk. Like, ooh.
Testosterone overload. Edwin, do you feel that Comicsgate should mass block the regular haters who swarm us like gnats in Caesar's fig orchards? Here's the deal. If somebody is arguing with you to make you miserable, right? You've got a limited amount of time. You will make and lose money. You will make and lose friends. You will know love. You will know pain. You will know joy. You will know rage. You can make things, destroy things. You will never make another second of time. So the question you need to ask yourself, in someone who wants to have a negative interaction with you, you have control over this, right? If you don't want to engage in this interaction with someone and you don't want to see this mess in your feed, Twitter gives you a mechanism to put this stuff away from you. Now, you don't want to lock yourself in like a bubble where you're never seeing any different views and stuff, but are any of these people coming to really give you a different perspective, or are they coming to whisper misery at you, right, and demoralize you? If someone's coming to whisper misery at you and demoralize you, diminish your joy, right, to bring a cloud to your sunny day, send them on down the road. You don't have to engage with that, right? Because with some of these people, you're not going to change their minds. You're not going to evangelize them. If you particularly enjoy arguing and you're good with it, I don't want to deprive you of your pleasure. But if you're not the best arguer, if you're going to lose your temper, if you're going to, be rage typing some profanity or something, then like my wife, then maybe you should block them or mute them and move on, and not give it a second thought. Because anytime you want a differing opinion, you can go find it. It's out there, right? But again, let me tell you this. Life is short. Life is short. It is full of trials. It is full of adversity. It is full of people who have no compassion or empathy for you, right? No concern over your feelings, your state, your success, your failures, none of this, right? Some of these people don't even necessarily see you as like an existent human that exists outside a sort of like some abstract thing for them to interact with and yell at, right? So if these people are going to degrade your enjoyment and your quality of interactions and the joy that you experience, block them and don't think twice and don't feel like you have to apologize to anybody, right?
Somebody wants my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, just mute them. You know what? I love debating people. I absolutely adore it. But what I do not like is feeding trolls. If someone is there, and you know what? Twitter is not the place, because Twitter's, you got 280 characters and nobody wants to read you saying part 1, part 2, part 12, part 13, right?
Yeah.
You're on Facebook and you want to have a long form discussion and explain your points in detail. That's one thing. Twitter is really, really bad for this. Twitter is like get in, get out, and you've got trolls that will just never, it's never ending. It's a never ending battle. And honestly, it's absolute time sucking waste of time.
Well, I felt this with your one friend, Panosian, Dan Panosian. I felt this with him because I would answer him.
And he just moved to something else.
Yeah. And so it was always, what about?
Yeah.
And understand.
Trying to nail Jello to the wall. You can't.
Yeah. Yes. Trying to nail Jello to the wall. Yes. That was the substance of the interaction.
Yeah. They move. You make a valid argument. They just move the goalpost. They move the goalpost. They move the game. They change the game completely. They're not interested in dialogue. They are interested in burning your time to the ground. And I don't have that kind of time to waste. I have a lot to do. If you just want it, if you don't have anything better to do and you love doing it, freaking have at it. But I mean, the mute function on Twitter is wonderful. And no, I don't have not famous blocked. I think maybe I've only ever blocked one person on Twitter, and I don't even know who it was. I mute them. And after, I give people a chance. And if after, I don't know, it's pretty, you can tell pretty quick after 3 or 4 interactions, usually, if they're there to be reasonable in their disagreement, or if they're just there to suck your time away like little electronic vampires. That mute button has saved me an immeasurable amount of time and grief. So,
well, people who were quoting me and defaming me, or slandering me, I blocked about 10 people because I realized I was generating their content for them. And so they can still get at my quotes, but they're going to have to go through like another account. They're at least going to have to do some work for it. If I'm going to make your content for you, you're going to have to work for it. I went ahead and blocked Infamous. I blocked Tim Doyle. I blocked Richard Selner and Robert Pace. Now, Pace and Selner, I invited. I invited them to come on several times and debate with me. And every time I invite them, they hop on their bike and they start backpedaling as fast as they can. Um, Pace was essentially saying that my wife and mother and aunt are white supremacists, right? Because they voted for Trump. And just like the punch all Nazis or always punch Nazis books, you know, don't let anybody tell you that a Trump voter is not a white supremacist. They are, and white supremacists are Nazis, and they need to get punched. And so at that point, someone who's trying to justify, even tongue in cheek, that one of my family members needs to be assaulted, I have nothing for them. We can't debate at that point. They're my enemy. And I might pray for my enemy, but I'm not going to sit down and eat with them. I'm not going to sit down and interact with them. They have to be at a distance. Yeah. You keep wild animals. You keep wild animals in cages. You don't allow them into your home. Right.
You can hear all that, right?
Well, what can I hear?
The sirens?
No, it's not actually. The sirens are not registering on this end.
Seems like every cop from East County is heading west.
Oh, now I can hear him. Now I can hear him.
Helicopter just flew overhead. I think more than one helicopter. Check the news. I think something big's going down.
No,
I have never seen that many cops drive by the. I'm pretty close to the highway.
No.
What did I do?
Is one of your neighbors running an illicit grow up or a meth lab?
That's the thing. They're going from East County west.
No, okay. So you're
Like,
not Breaking Bad. You're not Breaking Bad, are you, Miller?
Let's cook. The cops
Yeah,
are all.
Antoine Dennison corrected me. He's like, you leave wild animals in the wild. You don't put them in cages. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You put up fences though to keep them out of your yard. Yeah.
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 Selner, I know Chuck personally.
Uh-huh.
Gosh, I might have published something of his at one time. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, that guy is I have a hard time with that guy.
He was trying to run like a pseudo academic kind of like, well, I've got some training in psychology and I've been examining the group dynamics of Comicsgate, and there's this swarming activity that occurs, and from an anthropological perspective,
he thinks he's smart.
I'm like, get out of here, Selner. Like, come on, man. But I could get him to drop that veil here and there, right? And he would abandon this academic language and essentially, would demonstrate exactly who he was. He was trying to mask his judgment of people and his desire to see people fail and suffer in this pseudo academic language. It's like, get on down the road.
Chuck is the perfect example of a person who has been educated beyond his intelligence.
That's an apt descriptor. But you can tell when people are like using this misery, whispering this worm language, right? Just trying to, what was that? Grimer worm tongue? Was that the character from Lord of the Rings that was just whispering in the ear?
Oh, worm tongue, yeah.
Yeah. Selner is one of these Grimer worm tongues.
Yeah, he is. He really is. He's a piece of work, that guy.
Yeah. Now, hey, look, take good counsel from people, right? Yeah. And not everything is a fight. Not everything is a fight. Not everything is a conflict, right? And always aspire to be the best representative of yourself as you can, and to display as much of the good qualities in the world that you want to see. You need to display these. We can't just say we want them. We have to demonstrate them, right? But some of these people just want you to be miserable, want to demoralize you, right? Want to turn your sunny days gray, right? And don't let these people steal your joy and steal your sunshine. Let's see, Edward Coleman. Good name, Edward. Fantastic name. For $4.99. You should never be scared to engage in the battlefield of ideas. The more you debate, the more you sharpen your sword, which is your tongue. To a degree, this is true, but a lot of this stuff is not actually debate. It's very simple linguistic and semantic tricks, right?
Yeah, it's whack-a-mole. Somebody set it up top. It's playing whack-a-mole, and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Because they'll just pop up with something else. I mean, dude, Edward, I spent years just spending 6, 7, 8 hours a day. This was my seminary, you know, arguing people, looking for answers, seeking answers. I really do love doing it, but you know what? If your time is more important to you, then you know, just playing one-upsmanship with a bunch of freaking trolls, then, you know, I mean, do whatever you want. Do it. I'm not telling anybody how to live their lives. This is just advice. I don't have the time for it right now. I've got 5 kids. I've got a book to do. I've got stuff to deal with on other ends. As much as I enjoy it, Nat says I have a black belt at arguing on the internet. I really, really do. I'm not an idiot. I do. Okay, this is going to sound pretentious, but I do qualify for Mensa.
That sounds pretentious.
So, and I know. But it's just funny because I'm perfectly willing to go round after round after round with whoever, you know, no matter how smart they are, no matter how smart they think they are. But at a certain point, you're like, is this worth the time that I'm putting into it?
So we need some fan art. We need a meme, and it should say Mike E. Coyote, genius. Wiley Miller, genius? No, Mike E. Coyote, genius. Esquire. Menzo, is that some new dating site? Yeah, it's kind of like Tinder, but different. Everybody swipes left. You can only swipe left. Yeah. So like arguing with people like Rimphamus. I can tell you what Rimphamus wants.
Don't say the name.
I can tell you what this young woman wants. She wants you to make a comment about her gender or her appearance or sex or any of these things that she can then turn in for victim points, right? And convert this to some sort of internet fame. So this young woman wants to be the comic book version of, or the comic book / cosplay version of Anita Sarkeesian or Zoe Quinn, right? Because she's already seen this pattern where you can take in exchange provoked harassment for dollars, right? For social justice dollars. Lord Asserman for $10. Wow, you were very generous, man. You were very generous. Lord Asserman, thank you, Edwin, for reading my super chat the other day. I played the quote when Dante fell, teaming up with the Imperial Guard next to take on a corn-themed army. So wish me luck.
Good luck, Lord Asserman.
Yeah, Lord Asserman. I hope you drive your enemies before you, see them fall, and then conquer their women and hear the lamentations of their women and their cattle.
No.
No.
I think I might have got under her skin when I said she had the hots for me. Because I think that kind of became a little meme for a minute.
Here's the PR lesson, though. Here's the PR lesson. If you are, for most normies and for people who maybe their armor is a lighter color, maybe their armor is a white color. So for normies and for the white knights, They are not going to go back and look at 6 months worth of post. They're not going to go back and look at the provocative language. If they can see you yelling at a woman, yelling at somebody, or spurging out about something, they're going to form their opinions in 15 seconds. And it's about 95% likely that that opinion will be unaltered. Right? And so if you're yelling at a woman, using profanity, calling her all kinds of names and stuff, she's already won. And so for the most part, with these trolls, for most of us, we should just disengage. I mean, even myself included. I don't talk to Not Famous anymore because I was creating content for her, right?
Yeah.
And as Mike said before, it was like nailing Jello to a wall.
I still think she has the hots for me.
Well, I think her spouse looks like one of these factory produced soy lads, so it may be possible.
Oh, hey, I did want to mention something. I mentioned it earlier today in another stream that it was requested, just like the stinking Amazon wish list was requested, that I put up a PayPal button for donations. So if anybody just hates the fact that YouTube takes 30% of the donations you're giving on the super chats, generally speaking, I get little announcements whenever I get an email. So if you want to just hit the PayPal button down there, PayPal only takes 2.75%. So, and it goes right in my pocket. So that's available for anybody who wants it. It was requested, and so I have made it available. She has the thoughts for you. That's so wrong. Still inking that Game of Thrones cover. No, Game of Thrones cover. Complete here. Here it is for everyone to see.
Yeah. So for the go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, nothing. Go ahead.
No, I was just looking. I was just taking a moment myself to look at the.
Oh, you want me to hold it up some more?
I like the. I still appreciate art too.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just click it on mine, and you can talk and look at the same time.
Very good. Yeah. So for people like Not Famous, well, the knife is nice.
Obsidian.
For people like Not Famous, most people should just leave her alone, because
that tree.
Even if you're blowing her out in an argument, BTFO, making her look silly, she's still able to weaponize that negative attention, right? Because you send a signal that she's somebody that should be paid attention to, and she's really not.
And she's
because
not. Here's what
she doesn't produce it. Go ahead.
Just you go ahead. I'm just showing for the people in the chat.
Okay.
Anybody wants.
She doesn't make anything. She doesn't make anything you love, right? Not Famous doesn't have anything to do with the production of anything you love, unless maybe, I don't know, you're some kind of weirdo masochist. And so people like that, you know, she's got to earn her own graft. Let her say something interesting on her own. You go look at her feed. If you don't have her blocked, I would imagine that you will find her doing nothing but quoting the nasty stuff or the arguments that people are sending her way. But she's not actually generating an interesting and original thoughts or expressions of her own. And so her graft is to provoke people into saying stuff to her so that she can quote it, share it, and then get more people to say provocative stuff.
Yeah.
Testosterone overlord. Okay, let's not give her any more time tonight. Have Mike tell us about God's sword.
I would, but I think our hour is about up.
Okay, I'll give the quick one. I'll give the quick one.
Okay, well, we're real quick. That was Jon Snow for the people who are asking.
Okay, when God sent Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, he sent two cherubim and a flaming sword that turned to and fro, right, to keep them out of the Garden of Eden. Fast forward almost 6,000 years. 6,000 years? 6,000 years and some change. Yeah. The daughter of an archaeologist or an anthropologist?
Archaeologist.
Archaeologist. A young woman, a young woman, I guess. Eden. In Eden's a Hapa herself, isn't she? Isn't she?
She's half Ethiopian, half Jewish.
Okay. She comes to be in possession of the God sword and the full armor of God, and adventures begin there.
Short version, yay! Yeah, and so
how's that going? Are they working up some stuff for that already? Or
I know.
You faded out on me, Mike.
I said Ben has been working. Paolo has been. I haven't talked to him. I've just been kind of preoccupied lately, so I will catch up with him soon as I think about it. He hasn't handed anything in yet, so I will light a fire under his butt and see where he's at.
No, good. Yeah, everybody seems to be super excited about that.
Yeah, because I really don't want to do it without Paolo. He said he wants to do it, so I'm gonna hold him to that, and then I don't want to be like, dude, you're taking too long, you know.
Yeah.
But if he's taking too long, I need to do something.
Well, and hopefully he sees and understands the market and the demand for it, right?
Yeah. And hey, the more Lone Star sells, the more he'll easily be convinced. So get out there and buy some more Lone Star, people. I could very easily just I mean, I know a lot of guys have like, you know, Six Gun Samurai in the audience. So, I mean, I could run a real quick Indiegogo to publish that as a trade. It's already done. I mean, I essentially just have to change a couple things and send it to the printer. And it wouldn't even, I mean, I just have to cover that kind of cost because it's all the art's done. It's a full-size trade. And I don't know. No, Indiegogo hasn't paid me yet. That's another.
Still not.
They have 15 business days to pay me.
Oh, from the what day did the campaign end and it flip over to a store?
Friday.
Friday.
Oh wait.
Okay.
No, Monday. It would have been Monday. Would have been the first business day last week.
Last week.
This is the 6th business day, so I just stopped making noise.
Yeah.
So anybody in the chat who's read Six Gun, would you want to see that? Because it is already available as a digital book, but I'd really like to have that as a physical book too. Did you ever check it out?
I have not checked that one out yet. I read some of the, I told you I read some of the Imaginaries, yeah?
Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed the Imaginaries. But I'd like to see the Imaginaries updated.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. He's just a boy, Mike. Oh. Dang, that's 3 weeks. Yeah, it is 3 weeks, so. Ugh.
Steve Dye is one of your Six Gun Samurai fan.
Yeah. If it's available, I would be very tempted. I never saw it. Kagemusha book. I'd buy all 6 issues in trade. Or are you doing a graphic novel? Well, that's what I mean, is taking all 6 issues and making a singular trade out of it. Maybe even doing a new cover for it.
Sean Campbell says, pro tip, Mike, make sure your routing number is right. If not, you have to wait longer.
Yeah, I know. I read the FAQ about it. I was just hoping it'd be faster. Nasser got his like in 4 business days. So annoying. Take my money. Put the first couple scenes on Twitter for free to betas. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Was it released as floppies? Yes. I don't know if you'd be able to find them anywhere. Probably.
Do you remember how big the print run was?
Relatively small. It wasn't huge or anything.
Right.
But
Nasser hacked the system to get his money. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, they just transmitted the digital transaction directly to Nasser. He's his own ATM.
Right. But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, it is. I really like the book. It's a really good book, and it'd be really worth it to do it, and it could get out there really fast.
I think.
Okay, hold on. Zach wants the elevator pitch. Okay, so Six Gun Samurai is about this kid who it's a Western, so he's part of a like Wild West show, and his mother is a sharpshooter, and so he was raised to be a sharpshooter too. His dad is dead, and he's also being trained by a Ronin samurai who kind of like sweeps the animal poop up at the he's like Kane from Kung Fu, but he's a Ronin samurai. So he's trained in the art of Bushido and swordplay by his sensei, the Ronin samurai. He's a trained sharpshooter by his mother. His mother, in a failed trick shot, is mortally wounded, and on her deathbed tells her son that his father is still alive. So together with his master, they take off across country to go find his father, and hijinks ensue. That's the pitch for Six Gun. I know it so much better than I do Lone Star. But I've been pitching that for a decade, so
I think
Samurai Western, I could go for that. Yes.
The weakness.
And, hold on. Testosterone Overload asks, does Six Gun Samurai make you cry at the end like Last Samurai does? It doesn't make me cry, but it might make you cry because I wrote it. So sold. Yes, please, sold me on it. Well, I guess everybody wants it. Maybe I should do it.
I think the weakness right now in Comicsgate is that everything is happening in isolation, all the different products, right? While the movement is happening in concert, right? And we all come together and talk in different combinations. The stories themselves are happening in isolation. And so I think the first person who builds a universe is going to stand out heads and shoulders. So if you do Imaginaries, if you do God's Sword, if you do Kagemusha, if you do Six Gun Samurai, it needs to be tied into a cohesive Blacklist universe. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am.
Well, Imaginaries is tieable to Blacklist universe. Six Gun Samurai takes place in the Old West.
Right.
I mean, so it can still be the same universe, but unless I have something else happening in the Old West that ties into modern time, then it doesn't really play. But I would still make it Blacklist because that's going to be my company. So.
And Six Gun Samurai could happen anytime up until about 1900, right? Because you've got railroads, and you've got horse carriage, but you don't have automobiles, you don't have planes. Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, for $5. Wow. Very generous. This is from C.A. Cunningham. Mike, I know the truth. You're a manly man who doesn't cry without good reason.
I cried yesterday.
For emotions or for pain?
No, I found out a friend of mine passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that, brother.
Yeah, I hadn't talked to him since probably our reunion, but really good guy, like Samoan dude. So his heart gave out. You know, big Samoans, those hearts don't last. He's a pedigree Samoan. You know how pedigrees are.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I think this is part of what people are hungry for in this independent space, Miller. That stories need to build upon stories and build the sense of continuity and connectivity. And it doesn't necessarily need to be exactly the same time period, and the connections can be apart. But even with the Six Gun Samurai, theoretically there would be some lineage that might happen afterwards, some inheritance or something.
well, you know, technically speaking, I could, because if this did, say, Six Gun Samurai did like really well, I know the artist wants to do the second series,
Right.
Harold Edge, and if that were the case, the second series involves the daughter of the samurai dude, of the Ronin samurai. And technically, I could eventually lead that into Kagemusha.
Yep.
That could be cool.
It might only take a couple of dialogue tweaks, right? A little bit of relettering and a couple of bonus pages to tie some of the story into some of the common foes and common enemies of man, right, in our country. Is it doable? Is it possible?
Oh yeah, I could change stuff like that, but
without deconstructing or totally reworking the mainline story, there are tangential or lateral things that could be added that could tie it in and still maintain its integrity.
Hey, Tug's in the chat.
Is that a Tug? Well, Tug is up late, man.
Yeah, but I don't. I think I'd want to stick. I think I'd want to do the second series. I mean, that's the kind of, you know, that's what I was talking about Alien today, Alien Covenant, right? I was saying that I watched it last night again, and it really made me appreciate Prometheus. Have you seen these movies?
A little bit, bits and pieces.
Okay, well, I didn't really love Prometheus because it was an Alien prequel that just had so little to do with Alien. But then you get to Alien Covenant, and whether or not you like the way they explained the creation and evolution of the alien creature itself, it tied everything together from Prometheus to Alien. And see, Rhaegar didn't like Alien Covenant. But it gave me a greater respect for Prometheus as essentially one long form story. So if I were to do Six Gun Samurai Part 2, tying Six Gun Samurai into the future launch of Kagemusha, or even perhaps battling some of the problems that say the Unknown Soldiers might have to deal with. The original Six Gun Samurai story.
You went robotic on me, and maybe it's my end, but it could be your end, so you might want to repeat that last bit.
I wouldn't want to alter the first Six Gun Samurai story.
Yeah.
but use it as a wedge to open the door to the second one, because the second one's not completely written. It's just an idea, and so I can mold the second story into something that plays into Blacklist proper, which then retroactively makes the first story important to Blacklist.
Yeah. But I think that's what needs to happen. Everything needs to be cohesive as much as possible, right? Because otherwise, you're pushing energy this way, you're pushing energy this way, you're pushing energy this way. And yes, you're engaging people. But if all of your energy is moving in the same direction, then the synergy that you get from that will lead to a greater effect, and to a greater effect for your readers, right? To your readers and your supporters, because it creates this vast interconnected narrative of stories and events and things. And this is why people are still reading Marvel and still reading DC, despite the fact that most of these characters are hollowed out versions, characters in name only, that just happen to share the same forms and colors and costumes, right? This is why people still read Marvel, because there's this weight of history and narrative and stuff, right, that people can sink their minds into. And so this is what needs to be created fresh and new for people. You still with me, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I agree.
You got it?
Edward Coleman for $1.99. Six Gun Samurai. Yes, please. Sorry for your loss. Thank you. And thank you. And yeah, no, I'm gonna think about it. Okay. I'd like to know it was gonna do well. I mean, I think I don't have to do that much for it to be viable.
Well, let me tell you what. Let me get a copy of Six Gun Samurai, because it's on Comixology. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get a copy of Six Gun Samurai, and maybe we'll go through that. We'll go through the first issue tomorrow. What do you think about that?
Yeah, first issue is only 99 cents. So.
Yeah, because we could go through the first issue and see how people react to that. Maybe do some dramatic reading, and you can tell me where I'm getting it right, getting it wrong, and maybe we can orient people to it, because it does sound like there is some enthusiasm to it. So maybe if we expose people to it some more, maybe we can push that idea along. What do you think?
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Edwin, for being here once again, taking all of your time to spend with me every day. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for everyone who super chatted or just chit chatted. Thank you for your wishes and your prayers and your hopes and your dreams. Thank you for believing in us. Edwin, you want to say anything?
Yeah. So wherever you're at in the world, whoever you are, whatever you're struggling with, treat the people around you with as much respect and kindness as you can. Be the best version of yourself that you can. So wherever you are is a better place because of your presence. And until we see you again, we wish you a good night and aloha.
Aloha. Lone Star Squadron.
Dismissed.